Hi, welcome. My name is Steve Nording, and I'm here with Jeff Bader. He's the director of the Wilson Laird Core Library, and we'll be walking through a couple of labs here that show what we have available for students at UND who take courses in geology and geological engineering. If we could, Jeff, you want to point out what we have in here?
Great, thanks. Okay, this is one of our labs in the downstairs part of the facility. We have two that are identical, and then one we'll talk about here across the way. So students bring look at the rocks in this environment, and so as any lab situation, health and safety is our #1 priority. And so we do have some things in here regarding health and safety that are available. Obviously a fire extinguisher in case there's a fire. We have the hand wipes that were brought in as part of the COVID situation, and we have those available in each of the labs. We do use some minor chemicals, generally just dilute hydrochloric acid that is certainly a burn potential. So because of that, we have the shower, a full body shower if you were to get it on your skin or your clothes and need to take a shower to get that off. It's not likely, but we have it. We do have an eye wash, which is more of a possibility when you're squirting this stuff on the rocks. So that's available. And there is also at the sink an eye wash station. In the case of certain kinds of work, we might even need to use a face shield. It's pretty rare, but we do have these available, and they are easily cleaned after each use. Hard hats as well. They aren't used commonly, but we do have them for any possible scenario where you would need a hard hat. We also have, if you come over here, a first aid kit in each of the labs, and then we also have a defibrillator for anyone that might have a heart condition. The one from that's in here for right now is upstairs and will be brought back down as this lab is used. And so health and safety wise, those are the main things that we have. Now I'll turn it over to Steve, who'll talk a little bit about what the students will do when they do examine the core and so forth.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. What we have here, I've got a piece of core laid out that we examined in class yesterday. And the typical procedure that students follow in here is to very simply use a squirt bottle containing water to get the rock wet, and that allows the students to see quite nicely the various structures that are present in the rock. And then if they want to know whether or not the rock consists of limestone or dolostone or some other component, this is the hydrochloric acid we use. It's a 10% HCl solution, and you simply put a drop of that on the rock, and it fizzes if it's calcite. And this is, of course, the chemical of concern that we have the eye wash system in here for. And then, of course, make sure we don't hurt the rock by spraying it down, get rid of the acid, right? Okay, well, that's what we do in here. And then the other thing we have available in this lab is there's a set of microscopes over here. We have one set up that allow students to get a better look at the particular rocks by putting under, in this case, a low-power binoc that you can magnify. I think that's about a 2-power lens on that. So we can get a better look at the rocks. And this is actually a very, very nice setup for students to be able to make use of. It was originally designed, of course, for professional geologists who come into this facility from around the world. And our students at UND get the opportunity to make use of these facilities. And we're very grateful to Jeff and the state for that opportunity. So I think we want to run over to one of the other labs we have. And of course, the purpose of this particular lab is to look for oil. This is a petroleum state, of course. And this particular lab is set up for just that purpose of looking for oil in rock. And I'll let Jeff walk through the actual the process that's done in here. And so if you would, Jeff.
Okay, thank you, Steve. And again, with the students coming in, we do certainly welcome you and your participation at the facility. Our doors are open, and that's really our job, to get students and industry, as Steve mentioned, here to look at the rock. And so again, welcome. So Like the other lab, this lab has the health and safety requirements. In this lab we do have a hood. As you can see, there are more chemicals in here that are used in the hood. The hood has an attachment here that keeps the window down, and so that's important when you're doing stuff in the hood. I'm not going to go into the details, but it is available for the use. Again, we have the first aid kit, as I mentioned, in the other room, and then the eye wash station available right here and is ready to go for any possible emergency or situation. Again, the hand wipes, and we have the fire extinguisher also in this room. Now this room is a special room. It's called the black light room. We use, Steve mentioned, we are looking at petroleum hydrocarbons commonly in the sedimentary rocks from the Williston Basin, and that's what these cores dominantly are related to, the oil and gas state, as Steve said. And so when there is hydrocarbons in the rock, you can detect these under ultraviolet light. So we get in here in this black room. This room has been set up totally for that, as you'll see when we come over to the other area, for the black lights to come down. You turn off the lights, and any kind of hydrocarbons that are in the rock, even if they're in there for a while and a residual, they can fluoresce under the black light. And so it's a great place for company geologists or students to come in and look, instead of having to go into the bathroom, which what we had before, had no windows, and it has to be dark. So they would bring their little portable fluorescence machine and do it in there. So here we have the setup where you can look at the rocks right at the tables. We do have a little bit of a health and safety issue there. You need to wear these glasses because of the black light can cause some eyes problems if you don't wear those lights. So now we'll come over here and I'll show you some of the rock and how these lights work. And you can see the room is painted green. It's an optimal color for the black light room. Now, if this was white, it would be horrible. It's just like going to the disco, right? When they turn on the disco lights, the same thing. So the green is for a reason. It's not for UND, but it works out pretty nicely. It's the same color from school. So we turn off the lights, turn the black lights. We're not going to do it here because it's very dark. But then you can lower down the lights, and these are the lights. You can get them right down to the position where they're right over the core. As you can see, here's the rock core. And it makes it very easy to observe any potential fluorescence in the rocks. So this room is very valuable to industry geologists as well as students, and is available for the students to use. So with that, we will move on to look at the actual core facility in this area back here. Now this area is not accessible to the students. So what we do is if the students need the core, they let us know what they need, and we'll bring it into the labs. And so we do have security measures here to get in. Now back to the oldest part of the core warehouse. This building was renovated very recently, and the old part of the facility was kept because we had all of this core in here, and we really couldn't move it. And then we moved around and built around the old core facility, and this remained here. As you can see, we've got aisles full of core. There's roughly 260 tons of rock in any one aisle, and we have 7 inches of concrete that allow this large amount of weight to be stored on these shelves. We also have about, at this present time, 92 miles of core, which would take us all the way to almost to Bismarck, I think, you know, probably a third of the way to Bismarck. So a lot of core if you put it box by box, end to end. So this part of the facility that I mentioned is the old part of the facility, and then we now have room for about another 62 years as new core comes in and the oil production and coring takes place in the future. So with that, I think I'll let Steve kind of wrap it up and we'll finish off.
Thank you, Jeff. I'd like to thank you all again for your attention, and if you have any questions, please feel free to get a hold of me. I'm Steve Nordy, or if you have any questions about the core facility, Jeff Bader. Thank you very much.
Thank you.